If you want to move the object down, up, left, or right, you can press the G key, which is short for grab. So once you've clicked on the G key, you can literally move an object where you want in the scene. So you can move it up, down, left, right, whatever the case is. Now, if you want more precision when moving something, there's different things you can do. So to move something only on one axis, which is, these axes here, the y-axis and left axis, which is depending on your view, which is, left or right, forward, backwards, or up and down, you can click on G, and then you can click on, and then you press the letter Z. Z is basically the Z axis, and that's for up and down. So this gives you a bit more precision when trying to move an object once you've pressed the G key. Now, a good trick and a good thing to remember is that, let's say for example, you want the object to snap back into the original position because you moved it by mistake. So for example, if I press G and I move it here, but this is not really where I want the figure to be, literally you right click if you're using a mouse, or if you're on a touchpad on a laptop, I just use my two fingers and click on the touchpad. Ooh, sorry, let me go back. I use my two fingers on the touchpad, and it should go back. Hold on, let me bring back the Sansu monkey. So literally, if I do this and then press my two fingers on the touchpad, it will literally snap the object back into place. That's very helpful. So yes, if you want to move the object from left to right or on the x-axis, you can press the G on your keyboard and then press X, and then you can move it along the X. Or you can, if you haven't decided, or you don't want to move it along the X, you can literally just press Y, and then it will move the object along the Y-axis. You can press X, so you can interchange between X, Y, or Z, or whatever the case is. Another cool gizmo is this gizmo. This, if you click and hold in the middle of this, you can then move around an object for however you want to move around it. Another thing you can do is, let's say for example, you have, actually, you know what, let me explain that shortcut. So like I said, you can come to the add here and you can add different objects here. However, if you want to be a bit more efficient and you want to be a bit more faster when creating and adding objects to your scene, you can press and hold Shift on your keyboard, and then you press A. This brings up this quick shortcut menu to where you can add anything from lights, text. But today we're only going to cover the basics, which is the shape. So let's say I have a cube, and let me add something else as well. Let me add a sphere. So let's say for example, I'm going to grab and move this up. I'm going to grab and move this to the right. And let's add one more thing as well. Let's add a cylinder. I'm going to grab and move this to the left. So for example, if I wanted to only focus or zoom in on one object instead of only being focused on this object, I can literally come and press and hold Shift and press B, and then if I highlight the object, I zoom into that object, and then I can orbit around that object how I so please. Sometimes one thing I did forget to mention, actually, sometimes when you're orbiting around an object and you want it to be, let's say for example, in the middle here instead of to the right or to the left, what you can do in this view is called the pan view, is that you can press and hold Shift, and if you're on a laptop, you can use your two fingers to move left to pan to the left, or to pan to the right. This is very helpful if you're, if you're working on a figure and you zoom in and for some reason, the shape is on the left hand side of your screen and you want to center it. You can either pan to the left or pan to the right if you press and hold shift and use your two fingers to scroll left to right. And I believe it is similar with the on if you're on a mouse, where you press and hold shift, and I believe you would press and hold your scroll wheel button, and you can then pan from left to right. Or alternatively, you can use what I just said, which literally, if your figure's here, you can press and hold B, highlight the shape, and it will zoom in so you can focus. Okay, so now that we've got the basics, I am going to create a little mock-up screen, or sorry, a mock-up demonstration, so that we can use some of the skills that I've kind of talked about. Because one thing I don't want to do is go too fast and say you can do this, do that, do this, and we don't put it to practical use. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and hold and highlight everything. I'm going to delete, which I use with my X button, and delete everything. So we're starting from scratch. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a simple scene, and I am going to add various shapes, and I'm going to move them around so that we can actually use what I've actually talked about. So to add an object, you can either come up to here, add. I'm going to add a plane. This is literally just a just a square. If I wanted to make this bigger, now all I need to do is press S on the keyboard and then move the mouse away or closer to the middle, and this will make the square bigger or smaller. Alternatively, if you really want to be precise, because sometimes if you're working, you really want to sometimes when scrolling up or down, it's not precise enough. Sometimes it gets a bit too large, sometimes it gets a bit too small. What you can do is, on your right hand side, you should see a list. It shouldn't be as big as this, but you should see a list. If you don't see a list, literally press N on your keyboard and it should bring up this sidebar. So N brings up this menu box here, if you don't see it already. And so literally what I'm going to come to do is click on item. Now when I click on item, I'm going to come down to dimension, and if I change the value of the X, you can see it's making it bigger. And this is where you can get really precise, because you can say I want to make it 10.5 meters, and then I want to make it go on the Y axis maybe 15.675 if you really want to be precise, and so forth. So that's just a different way in which you can that's a different way in which you can make things bigger. Another way in which you can make things bigger, and I haven't explained this, which I'm going to get onto now, is that on the left hand side you've got the select, and you got different menus here. What we're going to concentrate on for this tutorial is I'm going to take you through. So this, if you click on this, you should see a gizmo in the middle of the shape that you've created, and you can click and hold the arrows to move it on the Y axis, so left to right, or you can move it, if you click on the blue one, to move it up and down. This basically follows this axis here, and you can click on the red one to move it backwards and forwards. Rotate, perfect. And then the next one we're going to come to is the rotate. So if we have a shape, and let's say for example I want to rotate it, I can use this gizmo which rotates it like so on any of the axis. I can use the R button, the R key. So R on your keyboard is a shortcut for rotate. So if I press R and then I press one of the axes, whether it's X, Y, or Z, I can then rotate on any of those axes. I press Y, it's rotating it here. I press Z, it's rotating on the Z. Or what you can do to be a bit more precise, again, you can come to the right hand side here where you see a rotation, and I'm going to set all of these to 0 again. And then literally you can do the same thing whether you're using this gizmo here, whether you're using the shortcut where you press R and axes like Y, or you can come to the right hand side here and choose one of these options and literally be more precise. So you can say, okay, so you can actually type in numbers. Just for a bit of background, Blender is very mathematics based. So if you wanted to say, I only want to rotate this shape on as a 90-degree angle, you can just type in 90 degrees. Or if you want to say 45 degrees, and you can get 27 degrees. You understand what I'm trying to say. So yeah, you can rotate the shape however you want. If you want to reset it to where it's completely flat and it follows the line of the shape of the guidelines here, you can literally click on it, press 0, press enter, and that will always go back to 0. And then what you can do, let's say for example like here, this is a location, so this also moves your shape, your whatever you have highlighted in your scene, left, right, up, down. What you can do is if you want to bring it to the center of the scene here because you've moved it by mistake or whatever the case is, you can then come here, you can click and hold down, scroll down on your trackpad on your mouse, make sure everything is highlighted like this, and literally press 0 and enter, and it will go to the middle of your scene like so. This is that's very, very handy. Another gizmo we have here on the left hand side is the scale. And so remember what I was saying before is that if you press your S and use to press X, Y, or Z, you can make things bigger, smaller, or whatever the case is. You can then also use this gizmo. People have different ways of working, so whatever suits you. So you can come here and click and drag on this red square, and you can make it bigger on the x-axis. You can make it bigger on the y-axis, and because this is a flat shape, I don't think you can make this bigger on the z-axis. No, you can't, because it's a flat shape. If we had a square, so I'm just going to create a square real quickly so that you can see it. So we had a square. Let's use G, Y, G, Z to move this up. If you had a square, you can then make this bigger, smaller, more rectangle shape, or whatever the case is. So we'll get to that. And then finally here, we have the transform. This, okay, let me explain that. Sometimes if you don't have your intended object highlighted and you click any of these, you won't see the gizmo in the middle. So if you don't see the gizmo in the middle, just make sure that you click and highlight it and you see the orange line around your shape. Now this gizmo, for me, this is my go-to. This is what I always use. I don't really use this one, or this one. I use this one. That's because this gizmo has everything all in one. Some people might find it a bit confusing to use, but I personally like it because I don't have to then click. I personally don't have to click on any of these to do something different with a particular shape. So what I mean by that is, if you want to move the object up or down, you just literally come, hover, and click over the blue triangle, move the object up. If you wanted to move it to the right, click and hold, you move on the red triangle, and you can move it left or right. And the same with the green. Now, if I wanted to make this square plane thinner, then literally I come to this square, which is the same square as what we had here. I come to the square and literally I can click and hold and make it bigger, or I can make it smaller. And it's the same with this. I can click on the green box, make it bigger or smaller, which is the same as, you know, like I was saying with this. And then obviously we have the rotate, which is this circle, which we covered before here. It has it all in this one, so if I wanted to rotate it, I can rotate it like so. The same way as you can use the rotate function here, you can use this here. So this, for me, I prefer to use this because I can make shapes bigger, move them down, rotate them, and so forth. So let's make this one again, and let's make this the middle again. Okay, so yes, what you can also do is, let's add another object here. Press Shift A. Let's add a cube, bring it up, move this to the side. Let's bring a monkey head. Let's come here, move it to the side. And let's come here and let's add a sphere. You can move multiple objects together. So, for example, you know, if I only wanted to move the sphere and the square, then what I can do is I can have the square highlighted. I can press and hold Shift and click on another object, and as you can see, the last object that you highlight will always be in orange. Let me just make that. Make sure. Yeah, the last object you highlight is always in orange. The first two will always be this kind of orangey red color. So let me start again. So if I've highlighted these three and I want to de-highlight this third object, I continue to hold Shift and you click on the object again and it de-highlights it. Or alternatively, if you've named, or yeah, if you know what you're clicking on within your scene. So sometimes I like to name things, because when you have multiple objects within a scene and everything is called cube and everything is called plane, it's kind of hard to distinguish what is what. So sometimes it's good to actually get into the practice of naming your objects. So literally I'm going to come here and I'm going to double click to rename. Alternatively, you can right click and you should be able to, where's the rename? My eye's always bad. Name collection, where's rename? I think if you just press F2. Oh, rename's not here. Okay, strange. I think, yeah, just double click on the actual name, and then I'm going to name this to floor, if I can spell. Something that I actually forgot to mention. Let me actually make this so that it's like you're looking. This is how you guys scene will look. I apologize, I had a preset. If you wanted to have different colors like how I had it, literally you come to this option here in the top right hand corner with this arrow, change it from object to random, and then you can have different colors. This also, you know, is for me because sometimes, again, if you're working on complex scenes and everything is this one color, trying to distinguish between certain shapes and sizes and things of that nature can be a bit hard. I'll leave it in this because this is what probably everyone's looking at the moment. So yes, what was I saying? Yes, so if I have two things selected, I can, you know, move them using the gizmo. I can scale them as well. If I press S and scale, I can scale them back down. You can use this gizmo if you want as well, wherever you kind of see fit. And if I want to return back to what the original shape was before, I just press Ctrl Z back to what they were. So I'll definitely leave up to you guys to like experiment with, you know, whatever you've selected in your screen, whether you've copied me or whether you've actually decided to you know, build something for yourself. So hold on, let me just make this a bit bigger. So now what we're gonna do is, we're just gonna play around with some positioning of shapes so that you just kind of get used to the gizmos and so forth. So let's make this here. Let's have a little bit of fun. Let's change it like this. Nope. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to show you is I know this is the basics, but I'm gonna test the waters a little bit about trying to get to something a little, just a tiny bit advanced. So if you have shapes like this, but you want to change the actual shape of them or specific points. So for example, if you only wanted to make these four corners of this square smaller, what you do is you click and you highlight the object that you actually want to edit. You go to the top left hand side of the screen, you click on this arrow and you click on edit mode. Now nothing's really changed apart from a little bit more options here. Now, just to explain within Blender, if you wanted to change only this face of the square, you can do it in multiple ways. So let me click off the highlight. So you can come to this face select, which selects any face of the object, and you can edit it how you want. So for example, if I want to make this face smaller, I can highlight it using the face select mode. I can then come to my favorite gizmo, or I can press tap S on my keyboard, and I can make this face smaller or bigger how I see fit. So for example, I want to do this. If I wanted to do, you know, something like this, if I wanted to make this a bit smaller, alternatively, you can, apart from making stuff smaller, you can elongate, make things bigger or smaller using this method, to where you can move the face left, you can move the face right, you can even move the face, change the shape of the square, move it up, you can move it down, you can even rotate it. So like so, you can rotate it like this, you can move it like this. You know, the possibilities are actually endless when it comes to customizing the shape for how you kind of want it. So for example, yeah, let me go back to the original shape, and this can be done with practically everything. You can be done with simple shapes like this. To get back to the mode to where we can select other things, because at the moment in this edit mode you're only limited to clicking on this square. But if we wanted to do this similar edits to other shapes, you have to come back from edit mode into object mode, click on another shape, come back up here, go to edit mode, and then you can start selecting different faces. Alternatively, if you want to get a bit more specific with the way that your shape looks, you can come into what they call here edge mode. Now edge mode literally selects all the edges within shape. So for example, if I wanted to make let's say for example I wanted to make these edges from here to here smaller, what I can come and do is I can click on the edge, click on the first edge, press and hold shift, click on different edges like so, and I'm going to use the S button to make them smaller, or alternatively you can use the gizmo to make things smaller like so. Personally, I have more control if I use, well, depending on how you want to make things smaller or bigger. But for me, generally speaking, let me go back to where it was before. Generally speaking, I like to use the S scale function to make things, smaller and change the shape of things. So for example, we wanted to change it on this side, and I wanted to change the edge on this side. I can click scale it like so. So yeah, the customization is pretty endless. So if, for example, I wanted to get rid of the top and bottom part of this shape, literally, I can come to the face select mode, because this is a face, and I can press the delete key. Please, when you're in edit mode, please don't go to here to delete anything, because it will delete your whole shape. So when in edit mode and you want to delete anything, literally just come and press the X key, and then you come to delete faces, and it deletes the top part here, and then you can select the bottom one and you can delete the face of the bottom one, so you have a see-through shape. The same goes with, if I was to do this for the same goes for now let me do that again. The same goes for this square here. I can delete this face and then scroll around. I can delete this face. A shortcut sometimes, if to be a bit more efficient, shortcuts, you can press the tab button on your keyboard. That will toggle from object mode to edit mode. So if I have a shape selected here and I want to go into edit mode to edit different aspects of the shape, I can just press the tab. That goes into edit mode. I know there's not that much of a difference, but as you get used to using Blender, you will notice what mode you're in by how many options you have on the left hand side here. So literally, if you see like a long list like here and you're figuring, why can't I click on anything else, it's most likely you're in edit mode and you either need to come back here and click on object mode so you can click on other things, or you can alternatively press the tab, and yeah, you can see that you're in edit mode or or object mode. And the last thing that I'm going to show you on edit mode, because I can go into the different menus, but we're going to keep this very simple and very basic. I hope everyone's following along. Definitely drop Pamela a message if you have any questions, and then I'll do my best to answer them. So yeah, the third thing I'm going to show you in edit mode is I'm going to press tab on my keyboard. So we went through face select, where we can select different faces on the shape. We went through edge select, where we can select different edges on a shape. And now we're going to come to the vertices select. Now this is the most precise way that you can change shapes. You can change shapes within Blender. So I have this vertex here. This is just a point on a shape. So for example, yeah, I'm going to show you on the sphere, and then I'll show you on the more basic shapes here. But it made the most of sense to highlight only 2 points and change the size. However, it'd be best if I show you on the actual square itself. So let's go to edit mode. So vertices. So yeah, let's click on this vertice. Let's press shift and hold and click on this vertice. And then if I wanted to, I can use this gizmo, my favorite gizmo. I can make them come in like this, make them go out like that. I think it's relative to the axis. Yeah, so it's only relative to the axes. So if, for example, your 2 points are on the same axis, which is the x-axis, then you can only scale them in or outwards. If I want to make one point higher than the other, literally all I have to do is select it. Oh, so something that I may not be saying is that if you have two points highlighted and you click away from the object, it deselects everything, and then you can go back to selecting the points that you want. So if I have these, I'll do it again. So if I have these 4 points selected and I only want to move one, I click away from the object, click on it, and then I'm able to customize or change the position of one axis. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move this up. So yeah, you can get very selective of what points you want to move. You can move, 2 points that are away from each other. You want to both move these points up. You want to move them to the side, or what may have you. Let me come back to how it was before. Okay, so what we're gonna do next is I'm gonna show you one more thing within edit mode. Let me move this to the side so you can see it better. Yeah, one more thing I'm gonna show you in edit mode is, or two more things actually, which will be very, very helpful if you're really getting into, let's say, modeling and you just want to edit basic shapes. You can come into edit mode, you can come into the face select, and you can press, I think it's this insert faces. Yes, you can press I on your keyboard once you've selected the face, and then you can move the mouse in or out, and this creates like another smaller version of the shape, a smaller version of the actual face itself. And then to confirm the choice, you just click the left click, and then you can click on the extrude, and I think extrude is this one. Yeah, extrude is this one. I usually just preference by just clicking E. If you press E on your keyboard and move the mouse up or down, you can then change the shape of what you've actually indented. So if I was to do this for other shapes, press I and then make this a bit smaller, then press E. You can move it, indent it in, you can move indent it out. This is where Blender and other 3D software for that matter is very very powerful, because you're able to create very complex things from basic shapes. So if you wanted to create, let's say, like a fridge, or even, let's say, for example, a TV. So let's delete this shape. Let's create the basic shape of a TV. So that, let me move these let's move these down here. So using everything that we've gone through today, we're going to just create a basic TV shape. So what we're going to do is we're first going to create a cube. We're going to move it up. We are going to make it bigger, so forth. But obviously this is not the shape of a TV, this is just a basic square. So I'm going to make it thinner. So I can use this gizmo here to make it thinner. And I'm going to make it wider so it's more of a rectangle. Let's make this a bit more bigger, like so. Let's move this up. That looks about right. All right, cool. So we've got the basic. This is like a 2000 T. Let's make it a bit thinner. Yes. So this is like the basic shape of just a square TV. Now, if I wanted to actually make the screen, I can come into edit mode. So I can click tab on my keyboard, or you can come over here, back over here, and click edit mode. You can select the face that you want to change. So I want to change this face. I'm going to click I on my keyboard. I'm going to move the mouse in like so, and then I'm going to extrude it inwards so it has a bit of a dent. So let's click E. Let's move it in, and already we've got like a basic shape of a TV. So you can see how you can go from something as something as simple as a box, and you can actually create real world things. You can actually create like real world simple objects. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through it again. We're going to create a simple glass. So sometimes when creating shapes or creating things is sometimes good to know what's the actual basic shape of what you want to create. So for glass, I'm not going to use a square because obviously, you know, my glass is circular. So I'll use a cylinder. So I'm going to press Shift A. I'm going to come to cylinder. I'm going to use my gizmo. Let's just move this up here. And what I want to do is for glasses, because most glasses, they are thinner at the bottom. So let's make this a bit bigger. Most glasses are thinner at the bottom and bigger at the top, right? So in order to achieve this, I'm going to do what we said, what I went through earlier. So what we're going to do is we're going to come to edit mode by clicking tab. We're going to go to face select mode. We're going to select this face underneath. And literally, I'm just going to press S to scale and make this smaller, like so. See, already it's looking like a glass already, but we ain't finished yet. So if I wanted to make this this bottom, if I wanted to make it a bit longer, there's two ways I can do it. I can select this face, choose this gizmo, and make it longer like this, or I can press G, Z, and make it that looks like more like a cupcake. But yeah, this is more like a long glass. Now, what we're going to do is make the, well, for now and for this session, we're going to stick to the basics. So I don't want to overwhelm you with things. So next, I am going to show you is we've done move, we've done changing objects. I think it's time to you know what, I'll show you this. Obviously this glass is not smooth. Some glasses are, you know, stylized like this, but if you want a smooth surface, for surfaces that are curved, let's say for example like this sphere, to make this smooth, you can click highlight the shape, you can right click and you go to shade smooth, and that usually makes your shape fairly smooth, as you can see. So the same with this. Let's click and highlight this, right click, shade smooth. Now sometimes Blender has a way to where when you click on shade smooth, it looks smooth, but the lighting's a bit off, if that kind of makes sense. So what you would need to do to get it back is you need to click on this green triangle here called data. You need to come to this tab called normal and tick this box, auto shade smooth. This will then fix the issue to where things, your height, the smoothness of your object, it will fix the weirdness that it has. This basically, to explain, this basically calculates what surfaces should be smooth. So anything, I believe, under a 30-degree angle won't be shade smooth. So what that means is that, you know, it's not going to try and shade, it's not going to make these super sharp edges really smooth. It's only going to make, you know, anything over 30 degrees smooth. You can then toggle and play with it, but you know, we're not going to do that for this. So yeah, we've made a cup and we've made a TV. Next I'm going to show you is actually how to change the colors and things like that of the objects that we've created here. So to change the colors and getting into a bit more of the fun stuff, we can come up here to the right hand corner here, and which tab would we use? Let's use this tab actually. Actually no, let's not use that tab. Let's come into shading. This is actually better. Yes, this has everything preset up. So yeah, this is the layout. Sorry. Yeah, this is the layout screen which you'll usually use. And then if you want to start changing, you know, the material, the colors of things, then you want to come into the shading tab. This tab is where, this tab is where it gives you a scene, like artificial light, so that we can then start changing the color and things like that of this, of the objects that you want to change. So I want to, let's say for example, I want to give this a metal type look, or even a glass type look. That's if I remember I had to make this a glass. But yeah, so what we do is we're going to select on the actual cup itself and then click new material. Now it's always important to name your materials, because if you click on here, sometimes when you have like a big scene or multiple objects, and for example, let's create another material with this and click here, and you have material, you have a material called material or material 001. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of what materials you've created. So if we created a glass material for this, a metal material for this, and a cloth looking material for this, then, and everything's, you know, has the same name, then it's hard to kind of distinguish between the two. So let's call this metal, and as you can see the name changes here for metal. And then let's call this plastic. Let's see if we can create like a plastic type feel to this. But all right, let's start with this. So as you can see, it brings up this dialog box. Don't be intimidated, because we're not going to go into like the super specifics of like every single setting that we have here, because it would just be too confusing. We're just going to stick to the basics for now. So as you can see, the options that we have are metallic, which is changing the metallic, how metallic the object looks. And then you also have the roughness, and so we're only going to play with these two, and then also the color. So for example, I want to make this surface, this cup, very, very reflective. I don't want it to absorb the light. So what I do is I can change the value here. Most of these values are from 0 to 1. Most of them, others, but you know, I won't get into that now. But yeah, so with this roughness, it's from 0 to 1. So I can either click and hold and move left or right to change the reflection of this object. So as you can see, I'm not sure you can see very well, but it's reflecting certain things. I don't know if you can see that very well, but you know what? Let me change the color of the ground. Click on new. Let's change this to like a light. Let's change it to something like this. So yeah, as you can see, like it's reflecting. You see some like blue reflection from this ground here, because we've changed the roughness. If we make it all the way rough, that means it absorbs any type of reflection, and you know, you can't, it's not really reflective. So yeah, let's bring down the roughness all the way down so that it's super smooth, and then you can see some reflection from the floor and other objects within the scene. And then we're going to change the metallic material, so we're going to just bring this up. This gives it more of a metal look. So yeah, this is a full metal that's reflecting light from the scene in the back. It's reflecting light from the ground, and it's also getting reflections from, you know, other objects within the scene, as you can see like this. So what are we gonna do? Yes, so we changed this to, oh no, hold on. Yeah, we changed it. Yeah, we changed this to metal. What we're now going to do is, well, let's see if we can change something. Let's see if we can create a plastic. Actually, no, sorry. Let me go back to metal. With this, you can also change the color of the metal. So if you come here and then we're going to change this to, you know, a red. So this is like a red metal, so forth. We can change the value of how metallic it may look. So it can look kind of like a, because this kind of looks like a more of a plasticky type material. or you can go for the full metal, or let's change the roughness so that it doesn't reflect too much. And this is more like a plasticky type color. If we wanted to try it, if we wanted to make this see-through, now, if my memory serves it correctly, we can come here and go to the transmission, and we can bring this all the way up. That doesn't work, does it? Hold on. No, because I made the wrong option. Yeah, sorry. We'll get to that later. But yeah, all right. Let's start changing the color and things of other things within our scene. So let's change the color of this. Let's change this to more of a deeper green. Let's make it a bit more smooth. And let's change the position so it's, let's say, down here. Like so. Let's shade it smooth so that we can actually get it smooth. And let's create a new material here. Let's call this what would I call this? Second circle. And then yeah, let's play with the and let's actually something else to kind of let you guys know. If you wanted to make an object have two different materials, so for example, this is a bit advanced, but I think it'll be good for practice. So we have this sphere, and let's say for example, I wanted to make half of the sphere one color and make the other half. So if I wanted to make this silver color, what we can come and do is we can click, and actually first we need to click on this material, and then we need to click on this plus button, and then now whatever this material is called, we need to put it in this box in as this option here. So because we've named our stuff, because we named our stuff, and this is the important thing when it comes to things like this, because we named our stuff, it makes it easier for us to select what we want. So we can come and click plastic here. So if we want to make it half and half, what we can do, we could. So let's go to edit mode, and what we can do is we're going to I'm going to click and highlight these different. So like we've done before, literally we press the plus button, we can assign it a new material for something we've created already, or we can make a new one. So if you want to make a new one, just come and click here, and we can call this inside cup. And let's make this an actual, pardon me, let's make this actual like full metal. Actually wait, I think I've got a full metal. Let's make this a full metal like this, like so. Fine. So like I said, to change, I'm gonna go through it again. So to change specific colors on an actual object, literally you just click on an object, come into edit mode by clicking tab, or go into object into edit mode. Then we want to highlight the inside of this faces of this cup. So literally hold shift, and then we want to choose different. Choose the different. There we go. Okay, so now that we got them, now that we got these highlighted, we can come into the second material that we've assigned to this object. We can click here, and then we can go to assign. And as you can see, to realize the change, you have to come out of edit mode. So you press tab, and as you can see, it's a different color. So that means you have two different colors for you have two different colors for your actual shape, and you can do this for multiple. You can even have three different colors. You can have as many colors for a particular object as you have in this list. So for example, let's say we only wanted the rim of this cup to be red, but we wanted, let's say, the outside of the cup to be, I don't know, green or yellow. So we're gonna add another material. We're gonna create a new one. We're gonna name this yellow outside cup. We're gonna create the yellow effect. So let's make this. And here, when changing color, you can there's multiple ways you can change your color. So you can change the hue, which changes the actual color on a particular saturation scale. So you can change hue. So let's go back to yellow. You can change the saturation. So the saturation is how yellow is the yellow, how much yellow, or how deep is the yellow of the color of the yellow. So if I wanted to make it really yellow, I can slide this to 1. If I want to make it more of like a white yellow creamy color, let's change this to like this, and then move the saturation to like here. It's kind of like a creamy color. If I wanted to change how light or dark the yellow is, I can use this value scale to bring it up or to bring it down, like so. Or alternatively, I can use this to change, the value of the yellow. Or if you're used to using hexadecimal numbers to get really precise with the color that you're choosing, and you was to let's open up hold on, let's Chrome. I'm gonna open up my Chrome. Let's open up Chrome. Let's go to let's say, for example, hex color blue. So yeah, the color blue hex is this. So literally I can copy and paste this, come back to Blender, click on color, this hexadecimal color, copy and paste it here, and it will become the blue that was this. Alternatively, if you want to make it, let's say for example we want to make the outside of this cup the same color as this, then literally we click on this color bar here, click on this dropper tool. Why didn't it work? Why isn't it working? That's weird. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, it did it. Okay, cool. Perfect. It did it. Yes, it did it. I thought that icon never changed. So yeah, you click on this dropper tool, move the mouse for whatever color you want to copy. Now, just to be careful, if you click on this side of the screen, because as you see the light shining down from the upper part, this blue is a lighter version of this blue. So depending on where you click will depend on what color you get. So that's something to be aware of. So if I clicked here, and I would even get green, I'll get a white instead of the actual green. So you have to be very precise with where you're clicking when you want to copy a color. So yeah, let's click here. Inside a cup, that's fine. We have it in this list here. Let's click, let's go into edit mode by clicking tab, or clicking on, going here, go into edit mode. Let's click and highlight, click on faces. Let's highlight the different faces we want to change. So yeah, I want to change these faces. Once I've highlighted the faces, I can then click on the actual material that we created inside, well, I'll call it yellow, let's call it green. To change the color, literally all I did was double click on the name, or alternatively you can change it here, because that's the same thing, it edits it, I believe so. Yes, it does. Let's change this to green. So yeah, we have the faces that we want to change the color for highlighted. Yeah, we highlighted the material we want to use, and then we just click assign, come out of edit mode by clicking tab, and as you can see, it's a different color. And like I said, you can change, so you can have two colors. Let's add a new one. Let's change this to blue. Oh, has it got something already called blue? No, I don't. Okay. Yeah, let's make this blue, that's fine. Let's press assign. So yeah, you can get really creative with, changing colors to things. And so even if we were to do something like this, let's say we wanted to give monkey highlight multiple. Let's call this black. Actually, no. Let's make another one here. Skin. Let's call this eye color. Let's change this to black. And then click assign. Come and make this black. Let's make this white. Yeah, let's make this white, and let's add another one just in case. Yeah, it's white, and then we want to assign. Can you see that it's white? Let's make the skin a different color. Let's make it like a green. Make it like this. Yeah. I can see. Let's give it some teeth. Click into edit mode, and then we wanna. You can also, assign multiple different elements of a shape the same color as something else, as long as you've named it within the list here. So let's click here, white, click assign. So yeah, we've given it a little smile. If you want to shade, if you want to make this smooth, as I said before, you can just come in here, shade smooth. Let's double check that it's not messed up. Okay, yeah, cool. In this case, because there's more because there's more curves and less sharp edges, we want to leave shade auto smooth off, because if we have it on, then it's just going to keep the hard rough edges, and we don't want that. So, but depending on the style you want to go for and stuff like that, but yeah, we want to keep it off and just keep it smooth. Let's change the color of the ears. Let's highlight one of these. Okay, cool. Let's make them green. Let's make them something similar to what we had before. Click here, go to green plastic. Let's make this green. And yeah, there you have it. You can this is the benefits of being able to change different elements within the shape into multiple different colors, and you can get really creative with what colors you change, where you change them, and things of that nature. um ah Quickly, I'll show you, because we've only got 4 minutes left. I'll talk about the camera, because this camera is really important for when you want to actually start rendering and take. So basically, I'll explain rendering for all that does for who that for all that do not know. Rendering in a simple form is like taking a picture of your scene, so that you can then save it as a JPEG and things of that nature. So what I mean by that is, but I'll get into that, the settings on actually rendering it, in the next session, in session 2. But for this one, I'm just gonna show you how to get the camera right how you want it. So let's click on the camera, and we press 0 to go into camera mode, which is like this. If you press 0 and it doesn't go into the camera mode, so if you press 0, toggle out of 0, it goes in and out of the camera. If that doesn't work, just make sure, if you go to edit, preferences, input, emulate numpad, because that what I was talking about before when we first started the session. That's one shortcut that we have to go into camera mode. And now here we can either do it in 2 ways. We can bring up our gizmo here and move the camera where we want our shot to be. So let's make it here. I don't know how. Let's make it like so. So we can move a camera around like this, or we can press and let's go into 0. But as you can see from this square, this is all that we're gonna see. And sometimes using this gizmo can be very cumbersome. It can be very irritating, because you can't get the precise angle that you really want to get when creating your scene, or when figuring out your camera angle. So something else you can do is you press N and you go to view, and you go to camera view, and you have this ticked. When you actually go into the camera, you can use the wheel of your mouse, or the 2 fingers on your trackpad, and you can zoom in, like how I was explaining the beginning of the session, to zoom. You can zoom out. You can use the press and hold shift and use your 2 fingers, or use your scroll of your wheel to move left or right within your scene, so that you can take a picture of what you want so that you can get everything you want to get in your camera angle. That is it. That's concluding session 1 of Dao Ashe's introduction to Blender. I hope you enjoyed. Any questions at all, you can message me on Discord at JhennyArt. That's JhennyArt, JhennyArt. Or you can message me on Instagram or Twitter. Instagram is _JhennyArt, and Twitter is JhennyArt1. You can message me with any questions, anything you don't understand. Just drop me a message, or message Pamela, and we can arrange a one-on-one call, so where we can you go through some of the basics, or go through some of the questions that you have. Thank you everybody for joining, and hope to hear from you soon. Take care, and hope you enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Buenas tardes.